Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today we will discuss about universal literacy. I'm Muhammad Qasim Ali, working as a visiting faculty in the University of Education. And today we will discuss about the concept of universal literacy and individual rights, factors affecting program for universal literacy, medium of instructions, formal and informal education, advantages and disadvantages. Let's start. The first revelation revealed on our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Iqra bismi rabbikal ladhi khalaq, khalaqal insana min alaq, Iqra wa rabbukal akram alladhi allama bil qalam. The very first word in this revelation is Iqra, read. There is no command. There is no commandment. Just only to read. In the name of Iqra bismi rabbikal ladhi khalaq. In the name of your Lord who has created all that exists. Khalaqal insana min alaq. He has created man from a clot of blood, a piece of thick heavy blood. Iqra wa rabbukal akram. Read, and your Lord is the most generous, who has taught by the pen. So, being a religion, Islam focused and concentrated the literacy. Now let's see the definition of literacy, how we may define the word literacy. There are various definitions, we may say that scores of definitions that illustrates the word literacy. Literacy means the ability to read and write at a level that enables a person to develop and function effectively in their day-to-day activities. In other words, we may say that literacy is a tool that facilitate our works in our routine life. There are no universal definitions and standards of literacy unless otherwise specified. All rates are based on the most common definition, the ability to read and write at a specified age. So from this we concluded that here are just two things. The first one is the ability to read, as we elaborated in the above mentioned ayat-e-karima, Iqra bismi rabbikal ladhi khalaq, Iqra padna, and write at a specified age, and allama bil kalam, as God says that He taught the human being by pen. So here are two important things. The first one is the ability to read, and second one is write. Now, according to Merriam-Webster's Colgate Dictionary, literacy is the quality or state of being literate. Literate, according to this same source, derives from Latin terms meaning marked with letters and letters literature. Here it's provided with two aspects. The first one is able to read and write, and the second one is versed in literature or creative writing, having knowledge or competence. These are two very essential components, read and write. When we write, the very first step in literacy in education is the reading. When a child go to school, the teacher first taught him to read alif, to read a, to read one, and after that, with the passage of time, when he learn the things, he be able to write. Now we can say that in education or literacy, the reading is the first and preliminary things, and writing is the secondary thing. With the passing through from different eras, from different ages, the literacy rate and the definitions of literacy is changing with the passage of time. In 1951, how they define literacy: one who can read a clear print in any language. Then the literacy rate was 16.4%. When simply a person having a perception about the printed pieces of words. Now proceed toward 1961. It was defined as one who is able to read with understanding a simple letter in any language. Then the literacy rate was 16.3%, and it was further enhanced the definition of literacy in 1972. One who is able to read and write in some language with understanding. Then the literacy rate was 21.7%. And in 1981, one who can read newspaper and write a simple letter. That's a basic definition of literacy in 1981, and the literacy rate was then 26.2%. By low literacy, we don't mean people who have never attended school, the uneducated, and who move to a foreign country where the official language is different from their mother tongue. This scenario refers to the learning of a second language. We didn't say that the person was illiterate or having low literacy. Difference between the literacy and educations. Both of these two terms have a scores of definitions. Different researchers, educationists and scholars define the two terms in various ways, but simply here we define them in such a way that difference between literacy and education, the difference between them is much like the difference between a tool and a process. A tool means औजार, एक ऐसा औजार like that हमारे पास एक पेचकस है और हम एक पेच को खोलना चाहते हैं तो हम उसके लिए अगर प्लास का इस्तेमाल करेंगे या उस स्क्रू रेंच का इस्तेमाल करेंगे या किसी और चीज़ का इस्तेमाल करेंगे तो वो मुनासिब नहीं होगा. एंड अ प्रोसेस, और इसी तरह से एजुकेशन जो है वो एक प्रोसेस है. विद दिस प्रोसेस we ultimately will reach our end destination that we have set as the aim of life. So literacy will give you the ability to read a book. To exemplify this tool and process example in the terms of literacy and education, we may say that literacy will give you the ability to read a book. If you are able to read a book, so we may say that literacy is the ability to read. And when we see the definition of education, as Imam Ghazali described that education is a change in behavior, not only change but a positive change is called education. If we see the education in the present scenario, then we can say that education is when you at least understand what the author is trying to convey. The author of the book. You to read is the literacy, and when you to understand the thoughts and perceptions of the author, which you write down on the paper in the form of a book, and you to understand, that's the education. Importance of literacy. As from the above mentioned Ayat Karima, Iqra bismi rabbikal ladzi, defined the importance of literacy, and being Islamic religion, literacy have a greater status in the society. It can enable the individual the acquiring of knowledge and understanding of themselves and the world. When a person be literate regarding the things, he know them in a better way. Literacy is helpful to student success in educational institutions. If a person or student is literate, he will be better in a position to understand the things in a better way. Social and economic development in a country. It's an admitted fact that an educated and literate person enjoy the status in the society in the form of social relations as in the economic form. Literacy in Islam. Battle of Badr. As the incident of Battle of Badr informed us that when the Holy Prophet ﷺ, when the Sahaba Kram captured the prisoners of Battle of Badr, presented to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, तो आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने उनसे कहा कि वो अपना आज़ादी के लिए कुछ रकम दें, लेकिन क्या हुआ कि उनमें से कुछ ऐसे भी थे जो रकम नहीं दे सकते थे। तो आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने फरमाया कि जो लोग पे नहीं कर सकते, पैसे अदा नहीं कर सकते, कुछ ज़र अदा नहीं कर सकते, तो वो ऐसा करें कि जो भी बंदा, जो भी प्रिजनर, जो भी जंगी कैदी मुसलमानों के 10 बच्चों को पढ़ना लिखना सिखा देगा तो इसके बदले में उसे आज़ाद कर दिया जाएगा। तो फिर एक हज़रत अली करमुल्लाह ताला वजहुल करीम का एक कॉल भी हमें नज़र आता है कि जैसा कि हज़रत अली करमुल्लाह ताला वजहुल करीम ने फरमाया कि जिस बंदे ने मुझे एक लफ्ज़ पढ़ाया तो वो मेरा उस्ताद है, वो मेरा मालिक है, तो अब उसकी मर्ज़ी है और मैं उसका गुलाम हूँ, तो अब उसकी मर्ज़ी है कि वो मुझे बेचे या आज़ाद कर दे। तो the basic foundations of Islam concentrate and focus the education and literacy. Again, the verse of Surah Alaq, read in the name of your Lord who has created all that exists. He has created man from a clot, a piece of thick, coagulated blood. Read, and your Lord is the most generous, who has taught by the pen. He has taught man that which he knew not. The first step in your teaching learning process, in your literacy, is the reading. And the second one is the process is writing with the pen. And when these both process is completed, then the third process is of speaking. When you have some material, when you have some ideas, when you have some concepts in your mind, then you may speak. If you have no idea, you have no words, you have no concept, you have no idea, you can't be able to speak. So it was also elaborated in the Holy Quran in Surah Rahman. Ar-Rahman allama al-Quran khalaqal insan allamahul बयान, कि अल्लाह ने इंसान को बयान सिखाया है। किन इन प्रोसेस के बाद कि पहले वो पढ़ेगा, फिर वो लिखेगा और फिर वो बोलना सीखेगा। एंड सेस, कैन यू पुट ऑन इक्वल फुटिंग दोज हु आर लर्न विद दोज हु आर नॉट लर्न, कि क्या जानने वाला और ना जानने वाला बराबर हो सकते हैं? नो, they will not be equal. That's because the learned person has superior status in the society. Literacy practice literacy as a social practice. Literacy practices are used by us in the practice of our daily life. We make facilitation and we facilitate our work in our daily routine life through our learning experiences, through our literary practices. When we buy a car, do the shopping, visit the doctor, or pay a bill, we engage in social practices in which literacy gives us help. So, literacy makes a clear difference between a literate person and illiterate person. Our behavior, our attitude tell us that we are literate, and we have some different postures. We have different selection of words when we go to shopping malls, when we pay bill. The other person which we are dealing, to whom we are dealing, have a clear difference that this person is a literate person. There are culturally accepted ways of engaging in social practice, and these can vary across cultures and over time greeting people. There's a differential difference between the literate and illiterate person, that when we make assalamu alaikum, we make the good morning, we make the good afternoon, we use different salutations for different persons, for different communities, in different departments and in different institutions. So when a community, when a society be literate, so there's a healthy practice be developed in the society, and you feel a better atmosphere, better environment of your healthy mind. Literacy and National Education Policy 1998-2010. This policy has a clear difference from the previous policies that was presented since 1950s, 1955. National literacy movement will be launched on emergency basis in every village, tahsil and district. In this duration, the devolution plan was presented, which means that the transfer of powers or the move of powers to grassroots level. So there would be awaken a hope of higher literacy rate in this duration. Mosques, wherever feasible, will be utilized as one of the means to provide non-formal basic education to increase literacy all over the world. Non-formal basic education is enhancing a very much essential role in the enhancing literacy rate. All the industry units registered under the Factory Act would consider it mandatory to make the employees and their dependents literate. So ये एक बहुत ही खुशान बात थी कि इंडस्ट्री यूनिट्स को, फैक्ट्रीज को पाबंद किया गया कि वो अपने एम्प्लॉयज को लिटरेट करें, क्योंकि अगर वो लिटरेट होंगे तो उनके काम की एफिशिएंसी भी बढ़ेगी और उनका काम भी बेहतर अंदाज में होगा और लोगों के दरमियान एक सेहतमंदाना इंटरेक्शन जो है वो फरोग पाएगा. So another useful resource available in the country in the form of Boy Scouts and Girl Guides can be effectively used in expansion of literacy rates. No doubt, Boy Scouts and Girl Guides are the very basic source for the upgradation of literacy programs in all over the country. The existing normal formal basic education community schools center will be increased to 82,000, including the existing 7,000. Literacy corps comprising of colleges, university students, research shall be established for literacy program during vacations, and it was also planned to utilize the abilities and resources, existing resources within the colleges and universities for the promotion of better literacy in all the corners of the country. If an illiterate prisoner becomes literate, the duration of his or her imprisonment shall be condoned accordingly. Development grants to local government shall be linked with the literacy program. If the area of local government is be more literate, it will be funded or financed on literacy based, be more funded. Radio and television will play a crucial role and extensively used for social mobilizations and promoting the cause of basic education, particularly amongst rural females. Media will also use to impart life skills to the new literates. As the Pakistan is a developing country, so there's a big gap between the gender literacy gaps, as we may say that gender disparities, मेल और फीमेल की एजुकेशन के दरमियान डिफरेंस. तो इसके लिए रेडियो और टेलीविज़न पे डिफरेंट प्रोग्राम्स लॉन्च किए जाएं जिससे कि औरतों की जो है तालीम, स्पेशली रूरल वुमेन की तालीम पे बहुत ज़्यादा फोकस किया गया है, जिसमें कि इन्हांसमेंट भी हुई है. Khankas, mazars shall donate a portion of their earnings